Hey everybody, I'm back. So this video is inspired by a topic that was discussed on a podcast I listened to this week, and it's funny because I don't normally listen to podcasts, which is ironic in a way because I podcasted for 10 years and I'm involved in podcasting, and I hardly listen to podcasts. I don't know why per se. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. There are a few podcasts that I do listen to, friends of mine, podcasts that are on the network or whatever. Um, but as I was saying in my last video, I got this little book here to kind of exercise the brain and kind of stimulate some kind of creative thing or whatever's stalling me from like reading or challenging my mind, so to speak. So I said, well, I'll listen to a podcast. And one of them in my recommendation came up on philosophy because I tend to listen to philosophical things. And one of them was, let me get to it here. And I'll leave a link if I can below. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta Google bother me. Anyway, so this one is philosophy for our times, right? So the topic was, are we morally hypocrites? And there was a few people involved in this. Now, sadly, I was at work, and I have a bunch of talkers at work, so it drowned out most of the topic, and I meant to go back to listen to it. So I didn't get to hear everything in it. I heard the first part, which, of course, starts out with, almost, we got to badmouth capitalism because that's the trendy thing to do, right? So they were starting that way. As I'd expected, one of them was going to get into that whole thing because it's, morals and all that other stuff, and that's a whole other thing that I'm not going to get into here. But then there was a counter. What I liked about the show is it's hosted by someone, and then there's an actual debate. So it's almost like a debate going on, which is what you would think you'd have on actual talk shows. These people are actually doing it. So it was entertaining, and I liked it. And so they got into topics of, are we moral hypocrites? And of course, the short answer, and I said right off the bat when I read it, is yes, of course we are. We're human. We're flawed. So yes, we are hypocrites. At one point or another in our lives, we are hypocrites. An example, I guess, would be all the wacky shit I got away with when I was a kid and did, or when I was in my 20s. I would not want my daughter to do that, and I would try to steer her the other way. But yet it's kind of hypocritical because, well, I did those things, right? But you've learned your lesson and you want to pass on that knowledge, right? So I guess for me, when I was listening to the conversation was more or less, hold that thought, got to smoke my pipe here. Of course, I'm finishing LJ Peretti's Thanksgiving Day in my pipe here. The Herb Booth pipe. So it got me to thinking, like, they mentioned Christianity, of course, socialism, Marxism, this government, that government, all those things, and things that have set up a moral compass, if you will, for us, like, the Bible, the Quran, and such. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, okay, it's not a bad thing to have these, I guess, guides, right? Like these, I don't know what tenets or I don't want to say rules, but like a guide to live a more morally respectable life, if you will. And the thing about it is, we're flawed creatures, and it's nice to have something. It's like the Jedi, right? The Jedi and the Sith. The Jedi live up to this impossible standard. We all try to do that, like whether it be religion, government, or what have you. Whatever you believe in, you set up these rules, so to speak, right? And you try to live up to them. And they're almost next to impossible. But as humans, it's nice to strive to be that. But we have to realize that we're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall on our face. We're going to be hypocrites at time, for whatever reason. 1 minute you're thinking this, and then the next you're doing this. It happens quite a bit. We're human, and it's funny. We get on politicians for being hypocrites, which they are. But we ourselves, as regular everyday, not that I would defend a politician at all, but we are like that as well. We're hypocritical all the time. There's situations at work where I see one can do this, but the other can't do that, and politics gets in the way of that and causes problems. And it's like, hey, what do you want me to do, type of thing. But I just thought it was a very interesting topic that. And of course, it gets into morals. Like, what is morals? And one of the things that's always stuck out in the prequel trilogy, just this one particular line is where the Emperor tells, well, not the Emperor, but Palpatine tells Anakin, evil is a point of view, Anakin. Because what one thinks is evil is actually good in another way and to somebody else. And it's just very interesting perspective. But back to my original point about us being hypocrites is yes. The short answer is yes. I know I am. More so in my younger days, not so much now. I'm in my 40s now. You see things differently. You experience things differently. You're not the younger person you were, where 1 minute you do this and then you do that type of thing. You're more, as they say, set in your ways, so to speak, for good or bad. But I think even when we're in our 30s and 40s, I think most people want to improve on themselves and do better, right? And, I would say on my little journey to trying to destroy the Sith within me, the evil that's in me, if you will, it's not an easy thing. And so you're on this path, you set these goals and standards, and you're going to live by them, and then all of a sudden, that old demon catches you, and you become hypocritical of what you're saying. Then it's funny when people are on their like little journeys of self-discovery or healing or changing their ways, they get a little preachy. A lot of us do. I've had this happen to me before. I got to bite my tongue and pull yourself back. But some people take it to a point where it's a little overkill, right? And and then it comes back to bite them in the ass because, well, they go and do the complete opposite. And they get, I don't want to say picked on, but they get called out on it and they get ridiculed for it. And I don't think that's necessarily fair to do to someone because, again, we're human. And they're trying to strive to that perfection that they've set up for themselves, whatever it would be, right? And sometimes we set those things up too high, those morals too high, that we're never going to live up to. We don't take into account we're human, and we fall on our face. I guess, in the end, as long as you're trying to improve, that's what matters. But you got to make some improvement too, right? You can't be a hypocrite for long, I guess. Then there's another topic. I won't get into it here, but they were talking about morals and how that plays in, and that was an interesting one. That's always an interesting discussion, morals. But as a whole, when you look at like Christianity, socialism, capitalism, any religion you want to pick out, Judaism, whatever it may be, I think we are a little bit hypocritical because again, we're trying to live up to that standard, right? And humans we're flawed. It's not always possible to live up to those standards. We'd all would love to, I guess, but it just doesn't happen so easily. Especially in this modern world, right? It's very hard to be the religious man or woman walking that fine line. Politician, definitely. I mean, we know you're only in it for your money, right? So, most of them anyway. But even me, as a non-believer or someone who just doesn't care about the God question, right? It's irrelevant to me. If there's one, there's one. If there's not, but I have a moral code. Not so much as a when I was younger. I was kind of just a punk, really, and I didn't really care. I was grounded and they brought this up, like in my household, Catholic, Irish Catholic, Roman Catholic. That's what my parents were, and not that we went to church or anything like that. That's a whole other story why we didn't go to church, but and I'll get into that another day. But those values that my parents had as their kids, and when they were kids, were instilled on me and my brother and my sister and whatnot, and it still continues, right? So there's a moral, even if we're, as an atheist, it's still, I have that moral principle. There's like a line, right? Like, those thou shalt not kill, murder, all those type things. There's that line where you will not cross, but there's all this other gray area stuff. Yeah, we'll do this, but it won't go that. But do you need religion for that, or you just need to be a decent human being? I think most of us are, at heart, decent human beings and wouldn't cross that line. But then again, look at the world we live in, right? There's rapists, murderers, you name it, all over the place. So, I don't know. I guess there's really no answer to this. But I don't think it was really a philosophical question. I think it was more of a social question, really. It wasn't really, although that technically, yeah, it's philosophy, but it's more of a social question. I don't know. I don't know. Be interesting to see what your thoughts. I'll leave a link below if I can, so you guys can listen to the podcast, get your thoughts on it. I'm probably going to listen to it again. Make sure something I didn't miss. I probably did miss. But something to ponder on this Friday morning, because I will upload this on Friday morning. So good morning to you guys and gals. Anyway, I guess that's going to do it. I don't want to make this too long. I could make this long, but I don't want to make it long. I just wanted to give something for you guys to think about, because I was thinking about it. Just curious what everyone thinks about it. Anyway, I'm out of here. Take a listen to the podcast, and I will do another video later tonight or Saturday or something like that. I don't know what it'll be on, but in any case, I do got more tobacco coming, and I have a surprise coming, and it's N.W. Piper's fault, but I'll leave it at that. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope you guys have a great day, and I gave you something to think about. Let me know what you think, and get back to me. Take care.